Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Kyle from the TF Review, and welcome to a very special Saturday edition of Megazord Monday. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Legacy Thunder Megazord. So, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video review. So taking a quick look at the packaging itself, we can first see the box is very big. It's actually around the same size as the box that Titanus came in, which is essentially just two standard Megazord boxes combined into one length. On the top, Thunder Megazord, you have a nice image right there of the Thunder Megazord, and on the back, we can see it shows the Thunder Megazord in its full Megazord mode, as well as all of the individual Zord modes, as well as the combination for the Mega Tiger Zord right here on the side. And on the sides of the packaging, it has a story, the secret of the Power Zords, as well as a very descriptive bio of the Thunder Megazord, and the story. Feel free to pause on each image to read them in more detail. So out of the box, this is essentially everything you get. You have, of course, the 5 Zords, which is the Firebird, the Lion Zord, the Unicorn, the Griffon, and of course the Red Dragon Zord. And you also get a wide array of accessories, such as the attack mode sled. You also get this piece, which has a ton of different functions. It attaches to the base mode. It also is used to attach to the White Tiger Zord's fists for the Mega Tiger Zord, and it can also be used as feet, kind of. Not really that good, but use your imagination, guys. You also get the Warrior Mode staff right here. You also get this piece, which is intended to attach the Lion Zord onto the back of the White Tiger Zord for its combined mode, as well as this sword, which is gorgeously done in chrome. I'm trying not to get my fingerprints on it, which does feel like die-cast. It's got that cold feel to it, and it's nice and heavy, and it's so shiny. When I pulled it out originally, I thought it was black. I was like, why did they include a sword that's black? I don't remember it being black in the show, but I realized it was just reflecting off my roof. But it is really a gorgeously done sword with a ton of detail. Could not be happier. And that leaves us with the 5 Zords. So taking a closer look at each individual Zord, we're going to start off with the Firebird Zord right here. And just by looking at it, you can already see the improvements that have been made. No more stickers, and that goes throughout every Zord. There's not a single sticker in this set. It's all painted, it's all raised, it's all gloriously well done detail. It's got standard head articulation, about the same as the original. The front of the face and the beak is done in die cast, and it does retain the flapping articulation that the original had. And there's no detail on the front. And it feels like this bird is much thinner than the original toy. The tail is also done painted gold. Kind of a more pliable PVC plastic, but definitely I love the detail. It looks glorious. The Lion Zord, this thing is heavy. I thought the original toy was heavy, but this thing is done in like crazy amounts of die cast. This whole piece right here is die cast. The head attaches a little bit different than the original toy. It now uses this peg. It doesn't have the two little side divots. I'm not sure if this is an improvement, but it's definitely a thing. And the helmet for the Megazord mode just attaches to the tail. And we can see the proportions have changed quite a bit. It definitely has a more show-accurate look to it. It's done in the nice dark green color, as it should be. And that's just really kind of all there is to it. It's heavy, it's super detailed, and it's gloriously well painted. Now, the Unicorn and the Griffon, they are essentially, very similar. Obviously, the heads have different orientations. They can still do this kind of, but they now have thick ratchets at the base of the neck, and they do kind of have ratchets in the head as well. They no longer have wheels. They don't have any wheels at the bottom, and they both feature Zord Builder ports down here at the bottom for when you want to combine it to any other Megazords, which we'll take a look at a little bit later. As far as detail goes, they are both insanely well painted, super show accurate. And you can see I couldn't be happier. In fact, in the original toy, this is just like, they put the yellow outline, and then they just painted this blue, and they're just like, screw it, we're lazy, and they just put the Thunderbolt there. And there's also now the silver detail on the back, which is, again, show accurate, and much more like the original Dairanger toy. Last but certainly not in the least, you've got The Red Tiger Zord. Red Tiger Zord? What the hell? You've got the Red Dragon Zord. And its head falls off. Now looking at the Red Dragon Zord, this is kind of a combination of my favorite Zord as well as the Zord that I have the most complaints about. Which is kind of silly. We can now see the most noticeable difference from this and the original toy is you got bendy tail and you got bendy neck. They're both super articulated, which means they can actually move around, but they're not poseable, which means when you move them around, they won't stay. They're just kind of floppy. And that's really disappointing, considering the fact that they were able to do that with the retracting, because these do condense to form the legs of the warrior mode. They were able to do that successfully and make it poseable with the Dragon Zord's tail. And even Titanus' neck, you can take it and hold it, but I'm a little bit more lenient about that, considering the fact that, this has the retracting gimmick and has to form legs. But still, it's a little bit disappointing. You can get it to do the thing it does in the show, like the wave thing. That's awful. The head is completely painted. The eyes, the gold crest, the green kind of visor, silver on his nose. There's a nice gold panel line inside of his mouth. His teeth are all individually painted. The base of his mouth is painted black, and the roof of his mouth is painted black. When are you ever going to look at the roof of his mouth? And that's done in a gorgeously done finish. His hands still retain the articulation. They're now done in a painted silver. These joints right here are much more fragile than the original toy, and even the original toy was pretty fragile. So that does have me a little bit worried. And on the tail, the crotch piece is actually painted on both sides and done in a nice die cast, which feels great. Another complaint I have about this toy is this panel. It just sits there. It doesn't clip into anything. It just assumes that you're going to put it down like this. And it's going to assume that it's going to stay in place. But this is probably my biggest complaint of this toy. I don't know what's going on here. I wish there was just something that you could just peg it in with, but nope. But this isn't the only mode that this character features. Let's take a look. The warrior mode. And here is the warrior mode for the Red Dragon Zord, and we can see it's very different from the original. The proportions are completely different. He's much slimmer. He's definitely been working out. He's lost a bit of weight. Good for you, man. The head attaches a little bit differently. Instead of sliding in, it actually just kind of locks into place down, and you no longer need to open the mouth in order to get it to slide into the chest, which is something that was kind of odd about the original. For poseability, his legs don't do anything, but if you want to, you can kind of unpeg this middle joint and give him like that much range of motion if you really want to. Or you can just give him noodle legs. Look at me, noodle legs, you're crazy. Look at me, I'm crazy. His feet move forward and back. His hands can actually move in and out. And they have a ratchet. And the 4 fingers are poseable, 2 fingers each. Now, if you want to, you can get him to hold his staff. Just like that. And the staff just fits right into his hands. Just like that. Perfect. And it's a really good connection. It holds extremely well, given the nature of his poseable fingers. And all in all, I could not be happier. This is probably why the Zord was so expensive. Again, it's got detail everywhere. Not so much on the back. And it's super show accurate, which is the original toy wasn't. And if you want to, you can get him to hold this above his head and make him do his little helicopter thing. Yay, helicopter thing. And one quick comparison with the original Zord. I might do a more in-depth comparison video a little bit later, but here we have the warrior modes, each standing next to each other. We can definitely see the difference. Here is the Lion Zords, both of the original 1994 release, as well as the new Legacy release. The Griffon. The Unicorn. And of course, the Firebird. Now to get each Zord to fit into the attack sled, it's actually very easy. They just fit on. Slide on like that. Make sure you push it down a bit. And this just pegs in. Look for the 2 little slots, just like that. Do the same on this one. You get the Firebird, peg that in, and this just kind of slides into place, like that. Last but not least, you just want to slide him into place. And there you go. You've got your attack mode. Not too shabby, not too shabby. Well, that does it for this look at each individual Zord. I think it's time to call upon the power of the Thunder Megazord! Mastodon! Thunder Zord power! To attack Firebird Thunder Zord power now! Yaw! 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 Triceratops Unicorn Thunder Zord power now! Saber-tooth Tiger Griffon Thunder Zord power now! Brontosaurus Red Dragon Thunder Zord power now! And here he is in his final Megazord mode. And at first look, first glimpse, this is about as close to Dairen'oh, the suit used in the show, as you're probably ever going to get in toy form. It is insane how much detail they were able to put in this toy. There are painted surfaces that aren't even really visible that are painted surfaces. It's amazing the amount of detail, sculpting, a bunch of added points of detail that they added that they really didn't even need to do. It's just a glorious, glorious toy. But with that said, it's not completely without its own issues. It does have a few small issues. The first and most noticeable one is it is a little bit on the wobbly side. The feet don't seem to sit flat. I'm not sure if they would have even been able to add an ankle tilt, but oh my god, if they had an ankle tilt, this toy would be perfect. Just to get that extra bit of stability. On top of that, I do find myself struggling to attach these arm pieces. They kind of want to fight back with you a little bit, and they don't normally align, so you do need to fiddle around to get them. I never had that issue with the original toy, but it's just something I think with all the die cast, it just makes the step of sliding the arms up just a bit more difficult. It's still easy, but it is something you need to get used to. For articulation, his arms can move. His head can now rotate, which is excellent. I've wanted this since the beginning, and that's about it. Actually, his hands are now completely articulated. He's got a wrist swivel, and his fists do open up. So he can now finally hold his sword without it sliding out. That was one of the biggest issues of the original toy. And he has a pretty firm grasp on it, and it's really nice. His sword, I probably already mentioned it, is done in complete die cast. And he does also come with his staff, which is also very, very well detailed. It's got all the paint you could ever want. And this just also slides right into his hands. And again, it's a much tighter connection than it was in the original toy. It's still a little loose, but you don't have to worry about it falling out. And that just looks beautiful. Also added is, of course, this chain detail, which is accurate to the show, but we never got this in the United States due to obvious reasons. But this is now a detail, and it just completes the aesthetic of this Megazord. It looks excellent. His sword sheath is also completely painted. All of these little lines is raised detail, complete with, completely painted and glorious. It's just beautifully done. Everything on this toy is absolutely beautifully done. Now, it's worth noting, with all the added details and everything that they've done on the Legacy Megazord, there is one gimmick that they completely cut away, which is that of the chest that opens. In the original toy right here, you can take his chest, open it, and reveal little miniature rangers in the cockpit. Unfortunately, that's been completely removed. This is all just one solid molded piece with a gem right in the middle. And now, while we have the original toy here, let's take a look at a size comparison. We can see they're both very similar in height. The original, of course, standing maybe about an inch or two higher. They're very similar in height, a lot similar than I was expecting, especially when compared to earlier releases where they'd really been scaled down. This is actually not too much smaller than the original, which is excellent and probably attributes to that high price of $200. For another size comparison, here he is next to the original 2013 Legacy Megazord. Again, he's much, much taller. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at the Zord builder ports on this toy. They are frequent. For example, there are Zord builder ports right here on this upper section. This is actually what attaches to the top of the white Tiger Zord. We'll look at that in just a second. And for the feet, I'm knocking stuff over. For the feet, the Zord builder gimmick is completely kind of bonkers. And also the legs are hard to remove. I find myself undoing the neck gimmick, and then it comes off, which kind of worries me a little bit, hoping that they won't get too loose over time. Now, to get to the Zord builder port, what you need to do, and this is kind of ridiculous, you need to take these silver pieces and literally completely pull them off. And it's not an easy thing to do. They're really in there. And this is not the most stable plastic. It does feel a little bit flimsy, so I feel like it's going to break eventually. And then what you do, you'll notice the Zord builder port back there. You just take it, flip it up like that. Take it, flip it up, make sure it locks into place. And there you go. What you want to do, if you want to do it, stick the legs like that on the Dairen'oh Megazord. That's something you can definitely do. Now, since there is a Zord builder port down here on the bottom of the arms, it would have been cool. You can't attach them like that. It would have been cool if they would have found a way for the arms to stick down. But unfortunately, it just doesn't seem like that's possible. I looked at all the different ways. It would have been great. But I can't seem to find a way to rotate this Zord builder port around, because when the arm comes out, it's now hidden. And that's too bad. That would have really been a cool thing to do, to have. If they could have put maybe a second Zord builder port right there, or made one that folds out or something, so you could have attached it, that would have made it so much better. But unfortunately, there's no way to actually use these arms as Zord builder arms, which is kind of a disappointment. If you thought that was it, boy, were you wrong. We need white Tiger Zord power. No! No, hold on. I'm going to pause this transformation montage real quick just to show one thing. Unlike the original, where it was the feet that actually slid in to these slots on the Thunder Zord, it actually utilizes the Legacy version actually utilizes the Zord builder ports that were on the bottom of the legs, which makes perfect sense. So continue. Zord builder ports. Zord builder ports. And there he is, the big guy himself, the Mega Tiger Zord, the Legacy Mega Tiger Zord, that is. And he is absolutely gorgeous. I love the way he looks. He's not much taller than the actual Legacy Megazord itself, but the detail is just so crisp, so clean, so accurate. It's a beautiful, beautiful toy. On the back, the chest also connects like it does in the original toy, though it doesn't fit quite as flush as the original. Maybe if you did that, it's definitely not as clean, but it's there, and the functionality is there. For articulation, his arms can move. The White Tiger Zord's fists can also move, and he does not have any leg articulation as expected. But this is surprisingly much sturdier than just the regular Thunder's Legacy Megazord, so it's definitely good for play if you know what you're doing. And it's just a solid, beautiful toy. Okay, and last but not least, I definitely want to show off how the Firebird connects onto the wrist in the Super Duper Tiger Megazord mode, and it's kind of an odd connection. Let's see if we can get the hand right there. It's essentially you need his hand to hold on to this little black piece. These arch pieces actually just fit right around snugly around the pins, and his hand closes it and he holds it real tight, just like that, like a barbell. And then you take it and you just snap it in place. Let's see if I can get this in shot. Snap it in place just like that, and you wrap the wings around, and there it is. There is the connection onto his wrist. And that's definitely freaking awesome. Definitely. And for one last comparison, here it is next to the original Mega Tiger Zord. The original is, again, a little bit bigger, and it does have the electronics and whatnot that this one does not have. Apart from that, I think this one is much more visually stunning. I do prefer chrome over painted gold, or even just molded plastic gold. I wish the Legacy had chrome, but it seems like that's something they're really trying to stray away from. And yeah, so, well, I think that just about wraps things up. What are my final thoughts? And more importantly, is this toy worth the $200 asking price? This is an absolutely stunning, gorgeous toy that I don't think could be done without asking a high price. $200 is a lot, and I'm not gonna beat around the bush. That is a lot of money for one toy. But with that said, I don't think I've ever seen this much detail on a toy, especially an American release, ever. Every time I play with it, I'm constantly surprised by new detail. You should have seen me nerd out when I found paint on the roof of the red Dragon Zord's mouth. That's ridiculous. If you're a fan of show accuracy, then definitely this is the way to go. It doesn't have the Thunderbolt logos, thank God. And the red Dragon Zord has the bendy neck. You also have the Tiger Zord, which is now green. It was green in the show. It was green in Dairen'oh. For some reason, they painted the toy black, I guess to match the Black Ranger. And more importantly, there are no stickers. The biggest issue with the original toy was that it was literally every single thing of detail on it is stickers. And it would take an hour to 2 hours to put all the stickers on it. And even then, you know, when you're putting it over screw holes, they get damaged and they get worn out. That was a huge issue. Definitely a major issue. There's no stickers on the Legacy version. And that is incredible that they're able to get this much detail on it with paint. So if, like I said, if you're a fan, it's definitely worth having. I don't think it's worth having immediately. Definitely wait for it to go down in price. Again, if it's like any other Legacy Megazord, it will likely probably go down to $150. I can't see it going any further than that. But even at $150, I would say it's worth picking up, definitely. $200, if you're a diehard and you really need it now, then yes, pick it up for $200. It's a lot. Maybe I don't know, sell some of your toys or something to make money for it. I don't know. I'm a life coach now, apparently. So anyway, that does it for this review, guys. Check out my Facebook page with a full image gallery of the Legacy Megazord. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. I post Megazord videos every Monday on a series called Megazord Monday, with the eventual goal of recording a review of literally every single Power Ranger Megazord ever released. That is the goal. This is another one in the books. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.